The group Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, however, did take a closer look recently and found that the actual evidence, if any, proves that the infamous Guccifer 2.0 was in no way a Russian hacker, but had actual physical access to the DNC servers. We spoke with former CIA analyst and VIP spokesperson Ray McGovern, and here is what he had to tell us.
Well, we don't want to conflate two things. The way that WikiLeaks got their information on the DNC emails was from a separate copy, not a hack, okay? Copy, leak, put it on a thumb drive, give it to Julian Assange. We know that's what happened, okay? Now, this other thing was a construct, was a synthetic thing, which was arranged by this very shadowy person or entity called Guccifer 2.0. And sure enough, as soon as they heard from Julian Assange himself that he had emails, as he put it, pertaining to Hillary Clinton, that was on the 12th of June last year, they got busy saying, oh my God, what does he have? If he has enough, he can prove that we stole the election from Bernie Sanders, pure and simple. Huh? So what are we gonna do? And the idea was, well, let's preempt it. Let's dig up a scheme here where we can blame this on the Russians, and then we can distract attention from the content of these emails. You know, why did the Russians do this? Why did the Russians do it? Okay, work like a charm. Now, the evidence that we have now is forensic, okay? Now, you would wonder why the FBI didn't do forensics.
Yeah.
It's a big mystery. You would wonder why the people composing that CIA, FBI, NSA document on the 6th, released on the 6th of January, didn't do any forensics, but they didn't do any.
That's the logical thing that you would do in any crime, is that you do the forensic analysis of the crime itself.
You would maybe look at the crime scene,
exactly,
at least.
Exactly.
Somewhere where the crime scene happened.
Well, if you watch James Comey, you know, testifying before the House Intelligence Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, they asked him about this, and he said, well, yeah, I recognize, yes, it's far better to get direct access to these things and to do your own forensic. That's obviously, but we didn't do that. And nobody says, well, hey, people are saying this is an act of war by Russia, and you didn't do this? Right. And he says, no, we didn't do it. Well, what happened was, after Julian Assange announced that he had emails relating to Hillary Clinton, on the 12th, that was on the 12th. So on the 14th, all of a sudden, we get this CrowdStrike, which is the firm hired by the DNC to watch all this stuff. It's up. There's evidence of an intrusion here, and there's evidence that it was the Russians. And the next day, wouldn't you believe it, Guccifer 2.0 said, yep, we can confirm that there was an intrusion, and we did it. And we're working for WikiLeaks. Give me a break, right?
Yeah, interesting.
So WikiLeaks released this stuff on the 22nd of July, okay? And the sorrowful thing for the DNC was that this was just 3 days, or 2 days actually, before the Democratic National Convention began. And so they scurried around and said, how are we gonna explain this? And my God, what's Bernie gonna do when he finds out, you know, how? And they decided, well, we're well prepared. We could say the Russians did it. All we need is the complete cooperation by the so-called mainstream media. And if we can do that, we can have a magnificent, remember that magnificent obsession? Well, this would be a magnificent distraction. It worked. No one paid any attention to what was in the content of the email. Was always, why did Russia do it? This Russia just act of war, see? Yeah. So now what's flowed out of that is very mischievous.
It is.
I mean, right now we have the President of the United States saying, I don't know, you know, could be Russia, could be, you know, all he has to do is ask his CIA director to find the people working for John Brennan in this special cyber unit that he created and ask them, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. It's that simple at the end of the day.
How were you, so this data the data that was analyzed, how did you have access to it? And is this something that's just available to the public?
Well, you know, it's not just available to the public, and that's a really interesting story. It's not only veteran intelligence professionals for sanity that are interested in the truth, it's independent people. You know, people who have experience in these areas. There was no real incentive for major media to look into this, or even investigative reporters. And so it fell to a fellow who calls himself forensicator, okay? Somehow he got the key to what Guccifer 2.0 was talking about, and he unlocked the metadata, okay? Okay, now this is the key. What did the metadata show? The metadata showed that on the 5th of July, information was copied onto an external storage device like a thumb drive at a speed that was so fast it could never have been a hack. It had to be a copy and a leak. And that's, physics and the capabilities of the internet, the known capabilities at that time, they don't lie. And so we said, wow, let's see if we can research this. And so we have in-house capability. It won't quit. We have Bill Binney, Kurt Wiebe, and the others. They're previous NSA technical directors and all kinds of stuff like that.
I would trust their expertise in this matter a little bit.
I certainly would before James Comey.
So what the data said was this idea that when it was copied at a speed that could have only come from having a direct connection to that server, that computer.
And not only that, the metadata also showed where it was done. Guess where?
Where?
The Eastern time zone.
Ooh.
Not of Russia. Ooh. Not Vladivostok, or Washington, or Bangor, or Miami. The Eastern time zone, Eastern Daylight Time. That's pretty incriminating too.
It is very incriminating.
And besides that, there was a format used, a kind of a template, which experts could see was superimposed on the data. Whether that template was superimposed then or before then, it was obviously an attempt to implicate the Russians because it came from a well-known Russian template. So those three things. The most important is the download, the copying speed, because it couldn't be downloaded from the internet at that speed. Everyone agrees on that, okay? Now, even the scientists, some say, well, maybe now they could. Well, it doesn't matter if they can now. Right. It matters if they could in July.
Why has it been kind of mum? Like, we haven't heard much. Like, you'd think the Republicans would jump all over this fact, and you'd think that even elements of the media might jump all over this, even to try to debunk it, even to try to.
We see it coming. Okay. Now, I don't know. I am happy that the Republican politicians haven't seized on this, because this is not a partisan issue. This is physics. Okay. This is the capability of the internet. Okay. And we've been saying all along that were it to have been a hack, it would have been intercepted by the NSA, and there's no reason on God's creation that the NSA wouldn't be able to divulge that, because all those collection means were revealed by Ed Snowden.
That's true. That's very true. So they couldn't reveal it. Well, if it wasn't a hack, then they had nothing to reveal, and then that's interesting. That's curious.
Now, the Vault 7 WikiLeaks leak, I guess, or whatever you would have put it, that came out that talked about how there were ways to use data to make it look as if it was either Russian or Chinese or wherever. Really, it said wherever, that you can mask things for security reasons and all of that. Do you think a similar tool could have been used in this case? And at the end of the day, is there any way to determine that for certain? Is there any way to know for sure whether or not that information that looks like it's coming from somewhere else is actually from there?
John Brennan, the head of the CIA, created a whole directorate, hundreds of people, for cyber warfare. We know now what they were doing because someone, Julian Assange says a contractor, leaked all this stuff. Julian says this is a leak of such moment that it rivals Ed Snowden's leak in 2013. Now, you could find that out. All you have to do is get a CIA director that has the intestinal fortitude to say, hey guys, I'm going to put you under oath and put you on a lie detector to see which ones of you were involved in this. Now, I can't say they were, but it's very, very coincidental that they had this capability based on CIA documents now, to obfuscate. That's the word they used. Pretty, that's a 35-cent word. Obfuscate. Now, what does that mean? To disguise the origin of a hack, and then to impute responsibility to, well, someone speaking one of 5 languages: Arabic, Farsi, Chinese, Korean, and Russian.
Ooh,
in other
what a
words, you could
coincidence.
leave telltale signs there in Cyrillic, the Russian language. Whoa!
Have analyzed the DNC breach and are absolutely certain about one thing. There was no Guccifer 2.0 hack, and there wasn't an initial hack either. According to former CIA analyst Ray McGovern, the data breach used as a pretext for today's Russiagate pandemonium was actually a simple USB flash drive job and carried out by someone on the inside. Why, you might ask? Well, let's find out.
We could talk about the deep state. And we know that John Brennan and his lieutenants are working very closely with the Hillary campaign. And we're talking about technical issues of this scope. All we know is that, all we need to know is that the forensics, somebody did the forensics.
Right.
And finally they got the forensics, and the others have to do is to find out, well, is this true? Let's take a look at the DNC computers. Where are they? Do they have cobwebs on them at the bottom? Hello? This is really a farce, and it needs to be investigated.